there, avid listeners. Thanks again for tuning in to Sin's Workshop. Hope you're all having a wonderful day. So today we're going to be talking about Blood Like Magic. It is a young adult debut. It is an urban fantasy, and I have to say it really was an incredible read. The story follows Voya. She's a witch. She comes from a family of witches. She's just received her calling, which is basically, a mark in her womanhood that says the ancestors have deemed her, worthy of receiving magic. She just has to pass a test set by the ancestors, one in particular, whichever one decides to answer her call. So she gets one of the oldest ancestors, a woman who died in slavery, and her death scene, I will say, it's very intense. I was prepared for it because the author did deem it appropriate to have content warnings at the beginning of her book, and I'm really thankful that she did. Her entire note to readers about things such as slavery and scenes depicting people being whipped, it really helped me to prepare. So I was expecting it. That doesn't mean it wasn't hard to absorb, and that's good. I think the moment we become desensitized by things like that, scenery like that, images like that, we are losing sight of the pain that has, been caused by colonialism and, white supremacy. And I say this as a light-skinned Mexican who no one ever thinks I'm Mexican until I say, yeah, I'm Mexican. I say it proudly. I am a Mexican woman. And I own it, and I'm very proud of it. But compared to many other Mexicans, I do have very fair skin. But I tan. Let me tell you, I tan very easily. So, back on point, I think if we lose sight of the horrors of the past, then, we stop learning from them. We definitely don't want something like this to happen again. So I think it really was an impactful scene for the author to include in her storytelling and in her narrative, because it does add a lot of depth. It does add a lot to the story. It's not just there for shock value. It does have a point to the actual storytelling, because Voya is always caught between decisions. Her family's always kind of putting her down for this. They always say, oh, you can't make a decision to save your life. And her ancestors' inability as well to just make a decision ultimately did cost someone her life, and it did haunt her, even after death. But she took it as a learning lesson. And I don't think Voya's indecisiveness, makes her any less of a character. I think there are a lot of times where we're kind of stuck in the middle, and it's like, well, why can't I have both? Why can't I have the apple and the orange? That's just, a very lame example. But I don't think it makes you any less of a person. And I really think that Voya kind of struggling with this ultimate, she has to make this decision. She has to either destroy her first love or sacrifice her family's magic, which would ultimately lead to the death of her younger half-sister that she loves her dearly. And she doesn't want to do that. She doesn't want to destroy someone. So there's a lot of gray area. There's a lot of discussion on ethics and morality. And I really found that to be very interesting as far as the story goes. I like this idea of morality being, what's moral? Oh, is it okay to sacrifice someone else to save another person? Is that okay? To do that, decisions like that are of course never going to be easy. They are going to haunt people, and think it's good that they haunt people, like they haunt Voya. This isn't just an easy thing for her. She has to first find someone to fall in love with, and then destroy him. And the more she gets to know him, the harder it becomes to just be like, yeah, you're just a task that I have to do. It's sad, it's sad and it's terrible. And it's just, she's constantly grappling with her family's, pressure. Like, you need to get this done, girl. And it's just like, you value your magic so much. You want me to just sacrifice some boy I don't know. And it's not until later that she discovers, it's not about the power. It's about her younger sister's life, because she almost died, and the only way to save her was by tying her to the family's magic. So for Voya, it really puts her in a tight position. And she's also coming across, with her, when she meets Luke, she is coming across the sense of privilege. There is a discussion of lower class and upper citizenship. What's fair, what's available, what's not fair. And, Voya helps Luke see, like, you are a scholarship kid. You're here on a scholarship to take over a really, really big company. Yes, you could lose everything in a heartbeat, but I've had very little. We struggle to pay the bill all the time. It's like, don't act like you're better than me. And it's not that he thinks he's better than everyone. It's just he's afraid. The only thing, now that he's in a position of power, he thinks his only worth is what he can give people with this newfound power. So you really do come to feel for the characters, ultimately. I think the characterization is really well done. The characterization is very strong, especially when you're seeing Voya continuously grapple with the decisions she has to make. What's acceptable, what isn't acceptable. And I also love that there is a lot of diversity in this novel. Luke is Hispanic. Voya is African American. You have transgender characters as well. There is a whole range of diversity in this novel, and I think it's really incredible because it's real life. I don't think that we think that. We go into a room and we see people of many skin tones, and we don't really think much about it. We see people dressed in various ways to showcase their sexuality, their gender, if they're not, people wear things to express themselves. And nowadays we go into a room, we don't really think much about it. However, I read a lot. Surprise, surprise. And in a lot of literature, you don't really see a very extensive cast of characters. You don't really see the diversity. It's like, yeah, you've got maybe one or two of another character, another race in the novel, but nothing as extensive as what was done here. And I think that that's really incredible. You have, yes, the main cast of characters are African American, but there's still other races strongly represented in the novel. Point in case would be Luke, some of her friends, some of her cousins. I think it's really great to see such an expansive cast of characters drive the story forward, because it does add to the realism. It does add to the depth. It does add to some of the unfairness that people go through in their day-to-day lives that I think we, people who are privileged don't really think about. We don't really think, we're not always self-aware. I'm always trying to be more self-aware, and I hope my kids as well become more self-aware. And I think we're in a society where we are more woke. We are more self-aware of the privileges that are out there. But it's a work in progress, and I think that this novel really does highlight some of the injustices that still go on today. There's a lot, we see it every day on the news. We see people use race and skin color and religion to fuel their hatred. And I think, wow, we've come so far in 2,000 years as a civilization, but we haven't really, So I think the fact that the author, because this book does take place, in the future, a little bit. It's not present day. It is more futuristic. And it is an urban fantasy. But no one knows magic really exists. You've got the witches. They like to just keep to their own. They keep their magic secret so that people don't exploit them. Because again, there is some allusions and some symmetry to slavery. They are a black family. They have magic. They are afraid of being used and abused for their magic. And there is a scene that does highlight, it's a subtle scene, it does highlight the usage, that people, that this family is going to go through if people find out about their magic. So, it was, it's very thoughtful. That's what I'm getting at. It's a really thoughtful novel. I found it to be incredibly compelling. I really did love it, ultimately. So I have to give this book 4 out of 5 stars. Blood Like Magic, definitely highly recommend. It does showcase, how, we're on our way. We are on our way to becoming more unified as a civilization and as a society. But those prejudices by race and skin color and what's pure and impure, I think that still exists. And I like that the author is kind of addressing it and using social themes. She's using fantasy to highlight current social themes. And I think that that's very important for the storytelling. And I think it's very important for readers to, read things such as this. And it opens your mind. I'm a firm believer that reading in general opens your mind. But when you read something as thoughtful and compelling as this, that discusses, gender, sexuality, the unfairness, those prejudices based on race and your culture, I think it really does make you think more about what's happening today, and it makes you become more aware and more considerate and conscientious. So again, 4 out of 5 stars. If you want to go ahead and purchase the book, please remember to purchase the book from your local bookseller or online book retailer versus purchasing off of Amazon. If money's tight, check out the book from your local library. And I hope you all will continue to support me here by liking this podcast, sharing it with all your book loving friends, and subscribing to it. Sorry, I lost my train of thought for a second. You can also become a supporter on Buy Me a Coffee or Anchor FM, my recording platform. I'll have all of that information provided to you in the description above. Hope you all have a great rest of your day, and as always, happy reading.